Hey guys, it's Sheff. So I've got a question about the Mavic Air that I don't necessarily know the answer to. So you might notice when you're flying your Mavic Air on your phone, a few things pop up. Some of them will tell you or give you warnings about certain things. One of the things I've noticed is about the propeller guards. So when I am flying with a gesture control, if I'm using my hands to be able to guide where the drone is going, it will pop up and tell me whether, if I don't have the propeller guards on, a notification will pop up and say, be careful, you don't have the guards attached. Other times when I do have the guards on, a thing will pop up on the screen that says, propeller guards detected, have lower performance or something like that. So how does the Mavic Air know whether or not the guards are attached or not? So when you're hooking on the propeller guards, it's pretty easy. All you do is you take the guards, you put them in, you line it up just right, and you have this little clip where you clip it right over to attach it. There's not an electrical connection or anything like that, so it's not a cable-based connection. So I started wondering, does the Mavic Air have sensors, little proximity sensors near where the guards are to see if it's connected? And I don't think that's true either. I haven't noticed any sensors. I think it'd be kind of an extra sensor that's probably not needed. And then my third thought was, well, if there's no plug-in connection, if there's no proximity sensors, are the cameras picking it up? Now you have cameras, 2 cameras on the front of the drone, 1 on each corner of the front and actually 2 on the back as well. And so my thought is when the propellers are attached, the propeller guards are attached, then the drone cameras would be able to pick up or at least be able to see the portion of the guards that are sticking out a little bit. And that way, via the camera, it would know whether or not propeller guards are attached. And although that might be how they do it, I really do think it's through another way. And so I kind of want to do some tests to see if the propeller guards are detected based on a weight or balance or stability thing that the sensors are picking up inside of the Mavic Air. So I want to try a few things. First of all, we're going to try sticking the propeller guards on and seeing if it detects propeller guards when it's too dark for the cameras to function. Take off. So we'll turn the lights down as much as we can and then have it fly and see if it detects whether or not there are propeller guards still. Because if it's a camera thing, the detection shouldn't work. When I've flown my Mavic Air at night, the obstacle avoidance doesn't work at all. So when I've flown it at night, I've brought it up relatively close to a big pine tree and it does not even stop. So that same tree in the light totally stops and stops with a good amount of distance in between. So I think if the cameras are in a situation where it's dark enough, where it won't be able to detect objects, maybe if it's a camera-based sensor, it would not be able to tell if the propeller guards are attached. But I think the most likely really is that there detects an additional amount of weight or balance or something else that is on the Mavic Air, which would be really, really impressive. These propeller guards are incredibly lightweight. They weigh next to nothing, and so if the drone can really detect that much of a weight difference, then it's detecting a difference in just about anything. That means about anything you attach to it, it's going to be able to detect and tell you exactly what's going on. So I'm excited to try it out. I don't know what the answer is. If you know, if DJI wants to shout us out, or if you guys know the answer, please let me know in the comments below. But let's go find out. So the first step to testing this out and seeing if I could get an answer on how these sensors work was by taking one propeller guard off. So I removed one propeller guard and I took the Mavic Air up. It flew a little weird when it first took off. Obviously it was trying to adjust for the fact that there was increased drag and difference, and I think the propeller guard could have got caught on the grass a little bit. But it took off and it did give me the notification, extra payload detected, flight performance will be affected. So either that the detection system by weight or by resistance is really, really good, and it can even detect half the weight of the 2 propeller guards, which amounts to about 20 grams. That's really impressive. Or the cameras are picking up that there's 1 propeller guard on there. To figure out whether or not the propeller guards were actually detected by weight, I tied a rope around the middle of my drone and hooked it to the 2 sets of propeller guards, the 1 set of propeller guards, the 2 propeller guards together. And as I took it up in the air, I tried to be a little bit cautious the first time. I flew it up a little bit and I took off pretty gingerly. And that's partially because I tried it actually earlier with a ribbon, a flat ribbon that I thought would sit pretty flat on the top of the drone.
and really the ribbon, because it was flat, just caught the air, and it flew up a little bit, caught in one of my propellers, and broke off the tip of one of my propellers. So in a desire to be a little more cautious, I tied a rope and I took off pretty cautiously to see what would happen. With my drone up in the air, it had some wind resistance. The wind was blowing the propeller guards around. They were sitting there, and there was absolutely zero notification of an extra payload detected. And this surprised me a lot, because I really think, and I thought before I started this, that it was based on the amount of resistance there is. So I tried it again a second time, being a little more aggressive on takeoff, going up a little bit higher, and I did the auto takeoff so that it would know exactly how much energy it was putting out, and it took off, and there was nothing, no detection. There was a bunch of swinging around to the propeller guards, and there was absolutely zero detection that there was a payload attached to it. So I was super surprised by this. I did this in my basement where there was absolutely no air and I could control the light. I first started flying with a single propeller out and it was getting dark, and I thought in an environment where I can turn the lights on and off would be the best to do it. So in my basement I flew it. I don't recommend flying in a room with a lot of dust. I'm finishing my basement. My drone was covered in dust by the end. Also, just as a note, if you're ever going to attach anything to the drone, landing it can be a little bit tricky. I had the rope attached to it. I grabbed my payload and I held it away from the propellers as it landed, just to make sure it wouldn't get caught in a propeller after my last experience with the ribbon. So my next step was to go ahead and attach propeller guards. I took it up in the air just to check, make sure everything was working fine. So same environment, same lighting conditions, same room. I took it up in the air with the propeller guards on. Immediately it detected that there were propeller guards there, that it had at least an extra payload of some sort. So knowing that in the same room with the same weight hooked to the drone, it only detected the propeller guards when they were within range or view of the camera, tells me that it is probably has to do with the front and rear facing cameras on the drone. So the next step that I had to take was this. I decided to fly my drone in the dark in that room. I don't recommend this. Once again, there's a lot of dust in the room. I'm finishing my basement. There's sheetrock dust everywhere. I don't recommend that. But I also don't recommend flying in the dark. When there's no light, the cameras that sense front, rear, and below the drone can't do anything, and so it can't actually detect how well it's moving. So as I took this thing up in the air, it was wandering like crazy. I could see well enough in the dark, but I know that it was way too dark for a camera to work. So the cameras that face the ground that make sure the drone doesn't move anywhere were pointless, they were worthless, and my drone was about to run into a lot of things. I really had to fight it a lot to make sure that it didn't hit the wall. But there was absolutely zero notification of the propeller guards, even though I didn't power down the drone, I didn't do anything, it just stayed on, completely normal as it was on its flight right before that. So I wanted to try it again. Didn't power off the drone, still kept it on, same settings, same everything. The only one thing I changed was turning the lights off on the drone so the red lights weren't shining, just to see if that would do anything. And the difference was when I brought it up in the air the second time, I turned the lights on after having it in the air for a few seconds while it was still in mid-flight. And so as it was up there, it was really wandering like crazy. I flipped one of the main lights on, and the coolest thing to see was that the drone immediately stabilized. It recognized that it was about to run into something right in front of it. It scooted back immediately. It flew up in the air, or flew back, and started seeing things with its front-facing and rear-facing cameras. I got the notification. It said extra payload detected. Flight performance will be affected. Fly with caution. Totally surprised by the answer. It seems to be that it's a camera-based system that detects whether there's a payload or not. If you disagree, please let me know. I'm pretty confident that this is a camera-based system.
Guys, thank you for watching this video. It's very exciting for me to fly my new drone. I've been saving up a long time for this. This is not a type of purchase that I make lightly. I've been thinking about buying a drone for a while, and the Mavic Air seemed like the perfect drone for me as somebody who travels a lot. If you want to come along and see more of my explorations or tests or trying different things out or new products, or if you want to see some of the places I'm going throughout the world, please, please, please subscribe. I'd love to have you guys follow me along. I hope I've earned it. Hope you guys have an excellent day. I'll see you next time.